Hi artists of the world, I'm Natalia from Yes Art Marketing, and on this channel I share practical ways to grow your art business, sell more work, and build a creative life that actually feels sustainable. So if that's something that you'd like more help with, feel free to subscribe. I want to start today's video with a question that makes a surprising number of artists uncomfortable. What do you do when somebody asks for a discount? If you've been selling your work for a while, you've probably had this happen at least once, and you might have also figured out the answer. But let's imagine this. Someone sends you a lovely message. They tell you how much they love your painting. Maybe they even say they've been following your work for a while. And then comes the question, would you be willing to lower the price? Is that your best price? Or do you ever offer discounts? And what was a lovely conversation starts feeling a little awkward, and you don't want to lose the sale and you don't want to offend the person, but you also don't want to undervalue your work. You want to get paid. So you end up sitting there staring at your phone, rewriting the same reply 17 times. It happened to me before finally sending something that still doesn't feel quite right. Yeah. And especially for artists who are just beginners, this is quite a discouraging turn of events when you feel like you have to be liked and you have to sell and maybe you have to agree to what you don't want to agree to. So if that sounds familiar, first of all, you're definitely not the only one, not the first one and not the last one. And secondly, I'd like to suggest something that's completely changed the way I think about these conversations. A discount request is not automatically a sign that your prices are too high. It doesn't mean that you have to agree to it. I think that's the first conclusion many beginner artists just jump to. Someone asks for a discount, and immediately you start thinking, maybe I've overpriced my work. Maybe nobody will ever pay me what I'm asking. Maybe I should reduce all of my prices. But in reality, there are lots of reasons why people ask for discounts, and most of them have absolutely nothing to do with the value of your art. Some people ask for discounts because they ask for discounts on absolutely everything. Some people do have a smaller budget. Some come from cultures where negotiating is normal. They don't mean to offend you. Some people ask because they have nothing to lose. If the answer is yes, wonderful. If the answer is no, they've lost nothing by asking. So when you start looking at it that way, the whole conversation becomes a bit less emotional because you start understanding that this is not about you. Nobody's trying to offend you here. The thing is that the request, the question, is not an obligation. Just because somebody asks doesn't mean that you have to say yes. It also doesn't mean that you need to become defensive or offended or spend 3 paragraphs explaining why your prices are justified. In fact, I think one of the biggest mistakes artists make is assuming that they need to defend their prices. Imagine walking into a bakery and asking whether today's loaf of bread is cheaper. And if the answer is no, the baker is not going to go into a detailed explanation of flour prices, electricity bills, or whatever, how many years they spent perfecting this recipe. They will simply tell you the price, you take it or leave it, and you decide whether it's the right fit for you. Art isn't quite straightforward, of course, because we made it, it's personal, we spent hours, days, weeks creating it and perfecting our skills for years before that. So when someone questions the price, it can feel as though they're questioning us, our skill, our dedication, our professionalism, everything about what we do. But those are not the same thing. A pricing question is just it's just that, it's a pricing question. And once you separate those two things, responding becomes easier. One response I really like goes something like this: thank you so much for asking. At the moment, my prices are fixed because they reflect the time, materials, and expenses that go into each piece. I completely understand if this is not the right fit for your budget right now, and I would love to stay in touch for a future piece. Now let's look at why I like this response so much. The first thing it does, it acknowledges the person warmly. It might sound obvious, but it's important. They are interested enough in your work to start a conversation. That's a good thing. So there is no need to become cold or defensive simply because they ask a question. The second thing, it does gently communicate confidence. You're not apologizing. Notice that. You're not saying, I'm so sorry. I know it's expensive. I wish I could, blah, blah, blah. But you're simply stating your pricing policy in a calm, it's the matter of fact way. Confident businesses don't apologize for having prices, and as artists, I think we sometimes forget that we are businesses too. The third thing I like is that it leaves the relationship intact. Instead of ending the conversation with an awkward no, you're saying, I completely understand, because maybe that particular painting isn't right for them today. That doesn't mean that they will never become a collector. People's circumstances change, budgets change, needs change. And I've seen artists make sales months or even years after an initial inquiry because they handled the first conversation so graciously. Now, does that mean you should never offer discounts? Not necessarily. I actually think that there are solutions where offering one makes perfect sense. For example, if you're running a planned studio sale because you're making space for a new collection or for whatever reason, yeah, you're running a sale, you're offering discounts. If someone is purchasing multiple original pieces at once, it's good to offer a discount to a long-term collector who has supported your work for years, somebody who's buying for the second or third time, yeah, repeated collector. Or if you decide to offer a seasonal promotion, or if you're offering if you're launching a collection and you want to offer a discount to the first person that buys a painting or something, yeah, notice the common thread. You are choosing to offer the discount. It isn't happening because somebody made you feel uncomfortable. That's a very important difference, because once discounts become something that people expect to negotiate every time, your prices will stop feeling like prices and start feeling like suggestions. And that's probably not the relationship you want people to have with your work. It's not good to always sell with discounts, yeah, or make people expect discounts from you. One thing that I would encourage every artist to do is decide on your pricing policy before these conversations happen, because it's much easier to respond confidently when you've already made the decision in advance. Just think about it a little and ask yourself, do I ever offer discounts? If so, under what circumstances? What's my boundary? When you've answered those questions, you will not need to negotiate with yourself every time someone asks. You will be simply communicating a decision that you've already made. And I think that should be the biggest takeaway from today's video. Talking about money doesn't have to feel uncomfortable. It doesn't have to become an emotional negotiation every single time someone asks a question. It's not personal. It's not about you. It's not about the quality of your art or your skill. It can simply be just another part of running a business. It's warm, kind, professional, confident communication, because people asking about price, that's actually a good sign. It means they're considering buying your work. They're thinking about it. And that's a much nicer problem to have than nobody asking at all. So the next time somebody asks whether you can offer a discount, don't panic, don't get upset, don't assume that you've done something wrong, and don't immediately start rewriting your entire pricing structure. Take a breath, answer kindly, stand by the value of your work, and remember that not every beautiful painting is meant for every budget, and that's perfectly okay. If you enjoy practical conversations like this about selling your art, pricing your work, and building a sustainable art business, you will find a lot more inside Yes Art Club, where we cover the questions artists run into every day, not just the glamorous ones, but the slightly awkward ones too. You can find the link to Yes Art Club in the description to this video, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next Wednesday.